Hello and welcome to the Oddschecker Betting Show. This is your second day of Royal Ascot preview. It is sponsored by Tote. I'm your host, George Ellick. I'm delighted to be joined, as I was for episode 1 last week, by both Andy Holding and Jamie Benson. Now, Jamie, we spoke on the day 1 preview about the offer for England, where you can back any bet in the England game and you get a £1 free play spot. Hopefully plenty of viewers and listeners made the most of that yesterday for the game and got their free play spot courtesy of a man I know who is close to your heart and Jude Bellingham. But there is also there's a tournament that is quite a fun means of hopefully pocketing some cash just for beating you, which seems easy enough.
Absolutely. As a Birmingham fan, in true style, the only good son of Birmingham was the star of the show on the weekend on Sunday. I
wouldn't say the only good one. A player called Jordan James, I think, is going to be another pretty good son of Birmingham.
Well, if we can keep hold of him, don't get me going on Jordan James. He's far too good to be playing League One. I can tell you that much.
Correct.
But it's nice to see some Birmingham lads doing me proud because I will be disgracing myself on the Tote tournaments where there's £5,000 each day to share between everyone who beats me. So all you need to do is opt into the tournament, have 3 bets totaling £10 or more. That's just in an aggregate, so you can have 3 £4 bets, and that's your way. And if you have a better P&L than me, you share the £5,000. So if I say make 150 quid, which, pigs can fly and all that, and you finish ahead of me, you might be one of only maybe 20 or 30 people. And the Beat Benson dividend then would be, 200, 300 quid, depending on how many people. So it's very much worth doing. So you could potentially win £200 in your just normal betting and then get an extra 200 quid for just having been part of the tournament, which is fantastic. And then if I do the lot in, which would be a shade of odds on now, then all you need to do is make a profit and you share with everyone else who has made a profit. So again, that probably is anywhere between a £5 and 15 quid just for making a small profit on the day. So it's worth getting involved in. And
do you have to opt in, or is this just open to anyone?
Exactly. Just go to the site, opt in, then do your normal betting as you would do with Whirlpool, betting on all the various angles there against the Hong Kong punters, and ultimately then you just appear on the leaderboard if you're doing well in the in our app, in the Tote app, and you can see what I'm betting on, you can see what my P&L is, and you can see what you're meant to shoot at, what sort of the line is for making more profit than me. And it's a great way of engaging yourself throughout the day. It's fun to have a go at me. I'll be doing some videos of what I'm tipping up, and a lot of it will be talked about here. But then again, it can change on the day with draw biases and all sorts as the week unfolds. So it's great fun. It's really worth getting involved.
I've just logged into my Tote account to opt in. I can see I've got 3 pennies in there. So watch out.
That's 3 people more than I've got.
Andy, you've heard Jamie justify selections quite a fair bit over the last couple of days. How do you price up you beating Benson? 10 on?
I think we agreed on quite a few, so I think there's going to be a couple of dead rubbers there.
Yeah. That's a real concern for you, Andy, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know who's worse off, really. My £10 penalty to yours, depending on your current form or mental well-being going into the meeting. But yeah, to be honest, I think we're both strategizing the right way in some respect. We're both looking for value bets outside the box. We're not trying to pick the short ones. So, there's more one ways to skin a cat throughout the whole week. I think that's the key, is just to pace yourself, really. You don't have to go all guns blazing the first day. There's some good bets as they land themselves at your lap as the week progresses. So, even if you have a bad first couple of days, there's always 3 days to get it back. And vice versa, if you do okay the first 2 or 3 days, don't give it all back.
Yeah, wise words. Well, let's get into the preview. As is always the case, I'll be talking through the cards in terms of the best prices on the Oddschecker grid. We'll also inform you the best place terms that you can find. Bookie offers and free bets are up on the grid as well. And Andy's tips will be sent through to the app just every evening before racing for Royal Ascot, and generally every morning of racing. So make sure you check that out and download the Tote app, or go to tote.co.uk, where you can find all of the tournaments and everything else we've been discussing up on site. But we'll kick off with the opening race on Wednesday. It's the 2:30. It is the Queen Mary. And Make Haste is the 5-1 favourite ahead of Truly Enchanting and Leah Varney, both 7-1. Miss Rascals 10-1. Ultimate Grace 10-1. 14-1 Enchanting Empress. 16-1 Kasaya and Betty Clover. Spherical 20-1, and a few others 20-1 and bigger. Andy, I'm lucky enough to be on a WhatsApp group with yourself, and often you kind of flag when you've seen a 2-year-old that you think has done a decent number. And I think I'm right in saying that Kasaya, who's 16-1 here, is one of those.
Yeah, she was a filly that I saw firsthand at Salisbury. I was working on a radio show that day, and I came out of it thinking and saying that she was the best filly in the race, even though she didn't win, and she could be a group filly in the making. And subsequently, I've got no indication to lead me believe any other way. That Nottingham performance the other week was one of pure class. She just travelled her way through it on the bridle, got there very readily, just had to be nudged out to win by a comfortable couple of lengths. The speed figure she did that day was bang up there with most of these, or beyond what a lot of these have achieved already. So already she's run to a very, very, very good level. I like the fact that she's run over a stiff track as well, first time up at Salisbury on soft ground. That should stand her in good stead. But she's all speed. I'll be amazed if she's not still going well down to the furlong pole. Whatever her beats her, I think, fair play. You just have to shrug your shoulders. But I'll be disappointed, even though she's a 16-1 shot, if she's not bang there in the first 4. I think she's drawn the right side as well. You look at the draw tradition in this race, I think Jamie will back me up. You need to be drawn high. I think virtually every time we've had a maximum field here, i.e. 22, 23 runners or more, all the winners have come up towards the stand side rail. And you've got the American horse as well, drawn 17 of the 20-odd runners. And having watched the videos back on her, she's all speed. So I'd imagine that Wesley Ward's charge will be given the licence to let rip. So I think you need to be in and around where that she is. A favourite's also drawn quite well as well. That stands her in good stead. But drawn 21, only 4 stalls away from the American horse. Should be no excuses for Kasaya. She's probably one of my best bets of the week at the prices. I'd have her in a single figure price. I'm amazed that she's that price. I think she's all class, and I'm expecting a massive run. Make Haste looked really good on the clock when winning first time out, but the time figure was slow. I mean, I haven't seen anything quicken as well as her, but whether she can do it in a proper end-to-end gallop in a big field, I have no idea. I think 5-1 is plenty short enough. And Aidan O'Brien's rather threw the spanner in the works here, because all along he said he was going to run Heaven's Gate here, who won at the Curry the other week, but he's decided to go with Limerick winner Truly Enchanting. And for those of you who want to know the numbers of that, she's our top-rated filly on the figures. So she clearly stays a strongly run 5 furlongs really well. So I'll be very frightened of her. But Kasaya would be my number 1 choice, just ahead of Truly Enchanting, who's definitely a player as well.
Truly Enchanting and Kasaya, the 2 selections here, 7-1 and 16-1. Sounds like a swinger to me, Jamie.
I would love a swinger with Andy, because I'm banging
Speed
there
figure
as well.
Swinger.
That was absolute music to my ears, because I could not be more bullish than Andy just was on Kasaya, because I love her as well. I think also when the draw came out, it couldn't have fallen more into a lap. Like you say, Ultimate Grace will make the running. Make Haste was also very keen early. So there's going to be so much pace on there. And having stayed the 5 at Salisbury, she's going to be staying all the way to the line. She can travel with the best of them. I really see for a race where everyone's got a lot to prove, she looks to have a lot of the required traits to go and win this. And I think 16-1 is a mental price, personally. Like I'd have a much closer to the top of the market, maybe 7s, 8s. So I think getting double that, I'm so delighted to have. I'm going to be getting stuck in now anti-post, and then we'll be having a look at the exotics on the day, because I agree with Truly Enchanting as well. I think again she'll go the gallop, but she'll be staying all the way to the end. And I think that's what might get there. You might get that early pace slightly falling away, and the likes of Kaseya and Truly Enchanting coming through to finish off strong. So, yeah, nothing more to add. Andy's bagged the exacta in the first race. On we go.
What a start to this preview. Bullish on a couple and a big selection from the two guys at 16-1. We were just talking off air, and I'm going to Ascot tomorrow, and I'm going quite early, and I'm putting in the leave quite late, and then my Wednesday consists of being driven to Cornwall with my 18-month-old daughter in the back, who seems to like vomiting when she's been in the car for about an hour. So I'm going to be hungover in the front seat with a screaming child behind me with a splitting headache. And I'm hoping that when Kaseya and Truly Enchanting cross the line together at about 2:33, it might be a bit of a hangover cure for me. Fingers crossed. And I'll be a bit frustrating. I wouldn't have made any grounds on beating Benson, which I'll also be trying to do.
Well, you could have just staked up. I've only got 100 quid to spend on the day. You know, you can just follow me and stake up.
Is that do Andy and I get 100 quid put in our account too, or is that just for you?
It's just me, but you know, I don't know. You guys send me the rights to the email, and we'll see what happens.
Lovely. We'll pull some strings. Okay. Yeah. To the Queen's Vase now. The 305. Illinois is the 9-4 favourite. Highbury is 4-1 second favourite. Birdman 6-1, 17-2 Grosvenor Square. Maidan 9-1. The Equator 12-1, 20-1 bar those. Interesting this one because we're recording this at just past 1 on Monday, so final decks are in and kind of the markets are reforming fairly quickly, and we're getting some contrasting views here. Highbury as short as 11-4 in a place, 4-1 best price. Birdman as short as 4-1 in a place, 6-1 elsewhere. Grosvenor Square 17-2 best price, but as short as 13-2 elsewhere. So some disagreements, but everyone agreeing, Jamie, that Illinois is the one to beat.
Yeah, and I think that makes the market really interesting because one of the strongest overpay trends to follow is backing a second string of a big stable, particularly Aidan O'Brien. I remember I mentioned this in the 2000 guineas when Corobus beat Native Trail. The exacta paid more than double what the forecast did because the second string get massively under bet. And I would have liked a gender if he came here, but for similar reasons, I like Grosvenor Square. I think that run at Chester behind the ill-fated Hidden Law is really strong form. I think Hidden Law looks an absolute freak. I don't know what the time numbers were, but I'm sure they were pretty strong.
Very good.
Andy's nodding, thank goodness. And he looks to just get outpaced, turning for home around the bend. And Agenda got a nice run. Hidden Law obviously was just a freak and gutted what happened to him. I think he could have been an absolute monster. But, Grosvenor Square didn't disgrace himself. He didn't maybe live up to the 7-4 fav tag that he was expected to live up to. But he can improve for a further 2 furlongs, and I wonder whether he might just be the type that will enjoy the test of Ascot a lot more than the sharp one of Chester. So for a trainer like Aidan O'Brien, who's got such a good record in this race, he's won it 7 times. I mean, as you'd expect with a yard for the Galileos for the past 15 years, and this is maybe Galileo's last shot at this. So I wonder whether he might complete the eightfold with Grosvenor Square, and he's 17-2 at the moment. He'll pay bigger than in the pool for sure, especially in exotics. If you do fancy Illinois, Grosvenor Square to beat Illinois will be a big price. Probably pay double what the forecast would. So that's where I'll be looking and hoping that Grosvenor Square progresses and appreciates the step up and trip.
Grosvenor Square 17-2 best price. Andy.
Yeah, this is actually gone the way I was rather hoping it would in regards getting a value bet here. The site of Ryan Moore on Illinois has now shifted the market very much in his favour, and away from the spotlight now is Highbury, who's anti-post favourite for this race, 7-4, 2-1. And I was thinking that's plenty short enough, but looking at the markets now, we can get 4-1, which is definitely getting into tasty bet category. I absolutely love this horse. Him and Jan Bruegel, who I discussed on a few podcasts in the build-up to Royal Ascot, are very much two improving, lightly raced Aidan O'Brien colts that we're yet to kind of come into the public domain, just because they're sort of relatively small proximity, or not proximity, but their profile suggests that they're yet to get to the level that some have already achieved. but the clock has been very much speaking favourably of both Jan Bruegel and particularly Highbury. The day when he finished third to Birdman first time out at Cork, I was drawn to the attention of the back-end sectionals of that race. I thought, God, this is a good race. These must be good horses because they ran considerably faster than the fillies Group 3 race on the same card from 3 out. And I thought, I've got to get with this race. Birdman's won since. He went to Navan and lowered the colours of a couple of strongly fancied horses. And then you look further down the line, Highbury, who was knocked about to finish third, he won again next time. Himalayan Heights, the third horse, he's won. The second horse, he's won since. And even Alonso, Joseph O'Brien's horse, who was fifth that day, he's won. So it's an incredibly strong piece of form. And both Highbury and Birdman have gone the right way since. They've improved on their runs. Highbury was amazing the other day when he won at Leopardstown. He won by 9 lengths. He again beat Himalayan Heights. He turned the form around and he looked at an even better colt. Even Highland Bling, the fourth horse, has won out of that race since. So both of those two form lines, based around the clock, have worked out exceptionally well. And I don't think we've even scratched the surface with both of them. I think they're both improving. They've both got a lot of physical attributes that I like. So I'm going to play both of these two against the field. 4-1 for Highbury, 6-1 for Birdman. I'd go as far as to say I'll stick my neck out and say I think the winner will come from one of those two.
Well, there we go. We've got 3 to take on Illinois with Andy, Birdman and Highbury 6-1 and 4-1 if you shop around Grosvenor Square 17-2. And again, sounds like that is tailor-made for some exotics with the Tote there in the Queen's Vase. Strong selections from the guys. On to the Duke of Cambridge now, the 345, where Laurel is the 130 favourite ahead of Rogue Millennium at 7-2. Ocean Jewel 8-1. 10-1 Briege, Royal Dress 12-1, Running Lion 14-1, Gregorina 16-1, 16-1 See the Lady, and Novus 20-1 bar those. Andy.
Yeah, the unlucky horse last time out was definitely Rogue Millennium. Obviously, New Connections paid a right few quid to get hold of her after a good season last season. I think she win this race last year, if memory serves me correct. For our connections, I think she probably did. So this race has obviously been the target. Now we're going to get another day and a half to work out whether Joseph O'Brien's horses are in good form by Wednesday. He's got several runners today as we speak. On Monday, he's got Tuesday as well. Obviously, Royal Ascot got plenty of runners there. He did have a winner the other day over jumps. That might not be that relevant the other day, just to kind of stop the bleeding, if you like. But Jamie's right to point out Joseph's just gone a bit quiet of late. 1 or 2 of his horses aren't firing all cylinders. And he's got a strong hand here as well because he's got Gregorino. I thought won in very impressive style first time up for the stable. So the key to this race is Rogue Millennium. She should have won first time out to the Curragh, but got stuck in a pocket over the far side rail. Ascot suit, so there should be no excuse as regards track position and getting a clear run. But both of those two, including the favourite, come with a caveat. Just have a look how those Aidan O'Brien horses are running prior to diving in at their current prices.
Interesting, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, I the Joseph form is concerning, and interestingly, I heard from a friend that Gregorino did a bit of work all over Rogue Millennium the other day, which surprised the O'Brien yard. But then again, you know, they've always liked her, and since they got her at the start of the year, and so maybe a bit of value with Buick booked. Gregorina could be an interesting one of the Joseph horses. But if we're going away from Joseph, you know, I'm keen enough to take on Laurel here, just because, you know, a lot of her her rating is based on the second in the Sun Lions, in the Sun Chariot rather. You know, the back end of her 3-year-old career. She's now 5-year-old. We haven't seen her for over a year, and you know, you're taking a lot on trust there. So I'm happy enough to take her on making the market. And just Novus and See the Lady are the two that I like to run big races. See the Lady was third last time out in what looks like a smart piece of form, and I can see her running a number. The firm ground would be a concern, as it may be for Novus as well. But Novus's form with Royal Dress has worked out very well. She was giving away weight that day as well, so you can upgrade her. And yeah, I think those two might be the ones against it, but to be honest, it's not my strongest betting race of the day. We'll learn a lot over the next 48 hours about how Josephs are running, and if they're running well, I suspect I'll probably end up siding with Gregorina just for a bit of value.
Yeah, Gregorina, best price now is 16 to 1. Novus also 16 to 1. So big prices, those two. Prince of Wales next up in the 425, where August Rodin is the 13 to 8 favourite, shortened up markedly over the last couple of weeks. Inspiral is 3 to 1. Horizon Door 13 to 2. Alphalia, who is a horse we spoke about on day one preview, is 12 to 1. Blue Rose Ken is 14 to 1, 20 to 1 bar those. Andy, interesting this one. You know me. I'm looking at this as being a race where the each way shape is pretty attractive to my eye. How are you looking to play it?
Yeah, fairly straightforward, really. Now, White Birch doesn't go, presumably due to slightly quickening conditions. Yeah, we're right for a little bit of perhaps a bit of a turn up. Look, based on that Curragh time figure, there's no doubt August Rodin's the right favourite, and on his day he's a world beater. But we've been in that movie before with him at that short price, so he's never one that I'm going to be flagging up and suggesting we're going to be backing to sort of get a week out on. So I'm going to stick with my old friend Alphalia. He's a nice each way price. I think he's been a bit unlucky in several races. He hasn't won. He should have won the Jersey here a couple of seasons ago. He was desperately unlucky that day. He got a horrible run in the hands of Jim Crowley. And I think Jim Crowley probably wasn't as proactive as he should have been when we last saw him in the Irish Champion Stakes. It was a race that got fractured and splintered very early on. They got stretched down. It was a funny race. It was just tactically, it was a mess. And I think Jim didn't know whether stick or twist. He was at the back of the field because he wanted to hold him up, and he ended up being sort of 10, 12 lengths off the pace coming out the back straight. He's run and belated. He's only get beat 3 or 4 lengths in the end, but he was never ever likely to land a blow at the main players. But he's definitely better than that. And I think first time out's a really good time to catch him. He was brilliant the first time out last year at York. He's got a relatively good Ascot record, albeit I don't think he's run on the round track. But he stays well, and he's very, very tough. And he's got a nice draw in stall too. I don't mind that draw in a relatively small field because they don't have to go too much further down into Swindley Bottom. So hopefully he won't get trapped in on the inner. So yeah, I think 12 to 1's a big price for Alphalia here.
Alphalia 12 to 1. Yeah, best price. Andy's selection in this one. I think you're going to tell me, Jamie, that would be quite a big price in the Whirlpool come the day.
Yeah, probably will be. Jim Crowley actually doesn't have a great record of being overpriced, mostly because it's mostly because he tends to end up on the odd real hot pot, like Alasifa last year and things like this in his role as hand-down stable jockey. So that is slightly skewed by that, but realistically, when he's not on a single price, a single figure odds horse, he actually doesn't really he doesn't underpay. So I'd say Alphalia should be a price in the pool, especially with Auguste Rodin at the front of the market. That obviously will make a lot of sense. He's a horse that the Hong Kong punters will be very familiar with. And yeah, for all of the reasons that Andy laid out, I'm in violent agreement. He his run in the Irish Champion Stakes can be massively upgraded on account of the run he got, and he's got an excellent record fresh. I don't see why he's 12 to 1. I think he should be at the very least third favourite behind Inspiral, and a single figure price. I think 12 to 1 is a cracking bet. And if I was looking for a bit of extra value in some exotics, I might throw Blue Rose Sen in there, more just on a bit of a hope that she comes back to herself a bit. She won the French Guineas and Derby. Like, she's a proper she's a proper horse. And I think if you said after she won the Diane that she'd be 14 to 1 for a Prince of Wales, you would have bitten your arm off for that price. So I might throw in some exotics at big odds, but for me, it's all about Alphalia here. I think he must go very close.
Alphalia, yeah, 12 to 1, best price agreement from the guys. I also like, Jamie, you saying you're in a violent agreement with Andy. I don't know if he should be happy about that or absolutely terrified. What's coming next? Keep your eyes.
I'm not a violent man, but when I am violent, it's in agreement.
That's something, I guess. 3 more races on the card. Going to start now with the Royal Hunt Cup, the 5 where Wild Tiger is the 10 to 1 favourite, just ahead of Sunny Liston at 11 to 1. Real Gain 12 to 1. Beshtani 14-1, Corridor 14-1, Metal Merchant 16-1, Streets of Gold 18-1, 20-1 bar those. Always a cracking betting heat, this one, Jamie. And it always feels good if you manage to pull up the winner. One firm going 8 places, so another 7, so you're getting lots of places out there too. How do you see this?
So I mean, it's the Royal Hunt Cup. You can have 5 and still not find a place, but I'm going to continue my love affair with David O'Meara, and Pardishark is really interesting. Recruit from France, has formed with some of the best 3-year-olds from last year. Big Rock, Ace Impact, all these types of very, very good horses who have proven themselves, Group 1 horses. And he comes here in the mark of 100. David O'Meara does so well with these French converts, and it just looks like the sort of horse that would absolutely love this test and could be thrown in off 100. I mean, he's 40-1, so you're getting compensation for all the unknowns, but I think that's fair enough. He's drawn 15, so bang in the middle, and we'll need to see what the draw bias is doing by this point, but 15, you can kind of take your pick of going low or high, so I don't mind that. And then my other one against the field will be Holloway Boy, who won the Chesham last year, and
first time out.
Not last year, year before.
2 years ago. First
2 years
time
ago,
out.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. 2 years ago, first time out, and he really fulfilled what we thought he was going to do. I mean, he comes in rated 105. I think this is only his first time in a handicap, so who knows? But he's a classy horse. I mean, you don't win in Chesham and not be classy, and ultimately 105 could underestimate him. Again, this is a sort of test which I think he'll really want. That strong pace will suit him down to the ground. He'll be able to travel sweetly off it, and he's just a sort. I also like his draw in 23. I think I prefer the high draws on the straight mile, but again, ultimately it's up to where the draw bias is playing out. But at this early stage, Holloway Boy and Pardishark would be my 2 against the field, I reckon.
Yeah, Holloway Boy and Pardishark, whichever you want to say it. Is Pardishark a relation to Baby Shark? We'll have to see. But
God, that's now in my head for the next week.
Yeah, welcome to my life. We've got 40-1 about the O'Meara horse, and Holloway Boy is 28-1. So 2 against the field for Jamie. How many have you got, Andy?
I've probably got the same amount at the moment. Maybe the exception is another one I'm going to talk about in a second. But my main 2 would be the 2 that ran at Newbury the other week in a very strong time figure race. It just looked a good race for the grade. It was a race that Sonny Liston won. I actually think they missed a trick with Sonny Liston. I think that should be running in the Queen Anne. He's now rated 111. No horse has ever defied 111 in the Royal Hunt Cup. In fact, I think the last horse to win above 9 stone 5, I think you've got to go back 20 odd years. So all those above sort of 9 stone 5, including Sonny Liston, have got a significant disadvantage in the Hunt Cup. It usually goes to something a bit more less exposed, if you like. And the 2 that ran really well behind Sonny Liston were Metal Merchant and Talis Evolver. Now, with Metal Merchant, he's almost certain to go well because he's won one of the best trials, which was the Spring Cup early on in the season when he beat a really good field that day. And then he went on to run well at Newbury behind the aforementioned Sonny Liston. But he has got previous here at Ascot. He won towards the back end of last season in October, so he's got crack form. Whereas the other horse, Talis Evolver, albeit he looks the type that will handle Ascot, but until he's actually gone and done it, you always have to have that as a little bit of a concern at the back of your mind. So out of the Newbury race, the most solid one undoubtedly is Metal Merchant, and he's around about a 16-1 shot. And the other one to mention is Fantastic Fox. Now, I know I talked about in another preview the races like the Sandringham and what have you. You by and large be looking at horses that have got Ascot form, like the Victoria Cup, etc. Well, if you go back and watch the Victoria Cup, that Fantastic Fox was probably the biggest eye catcher in it. And he wouldn't be the first horse to come out of that race, having caught the eye running on well over 7, to actually improve his position and run well or even win the Hunt Cup. Again, he ran a really good race behind 2 Tempting the other day at Epsom. back over a mile, but he was miles behind at halfway, and that's the problem with him on those kind of tracks that don't really help hold up horses. He was never likely to capture the ones that got away. But on a straight track here, where they often do come back to you, drawn stall 30 up the stand rail, he could easily outrun his odds. He's 33-1, Fantastic Fox, which is a mad price considering he's running the Victoria Cup. So at this very moment in time, if I was to get rid of one of those three, it would be Talus Evolver, because he's not run at the track, and just concentrate on the other two who have. And you've got one drawn on the far side, Metal Merchant. Don't forget Jimi Hendrix won it from the far side last year. But you have got Fantastic Fox up the stand rail from stall 30. And you can get, what, 16s and 33s?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my strategy. Back both of those two each way.
Yeah, 16-1 and 33-1. So that's 4 horses between the two guys there in the Royal Hunt Cup. 2 more races on the card. We've got the Kensington Palace Stakes, followed by the Windsor Castle. In the Kensington Palace, another open affair, Summer of Love, as short as 6-1 in places on the grid, but 9-1 best price. Doha 10-1, Twirling 11-1. 16-1 Roaring Success, and Elim hopeful the same price too, as is Rajindri and Fakama and Rawaya as well. Mystic Pearl 16-1, 18-1 bar those. Andy?
Yeah, if memory serves me correct, this is a race that is on the round track, I think, isn't it? So you don't want to get confused here with the draw and thinking, oh yeah, I'm well drawn here on the straight track, because this switches to the round. I think the best form coming into this race is the two that fought out the finish at Doncaster recently, Twirling and Roaring Success. Now, they've been handed stall 14 and 19 respectively, so you can look at that whichever way you want, whether it ends up being good or bad draw. It's down to personal choice, really, and see how the rest of the meeting is panning out. But they pull well clear in a good fillies handicap on Town Moor the other day, in a good time figure. I like the way Twirling won, very tenacious in the finish. But to be fair, the runner-up, lost no casting defeat there, and she's got course and distance form as well, Harry Charlton's horse. So again, without overcomplicating it, I'll just stick to that form line. Ryan Moore's on Twirling, and Roaring Success chased her home. So those are the two for me.
11-1, 16-1, and surely some kind of swinger or whatever else you want to do there with the form line tying into each other. Jamie?
Yeah, exactly. A swinger or an exacta there would make a lot of sense. Roaring Success was very much on my shortlist as well. But I'm just going to try and keep it simple here. Villanova Queen won this last year. She paid an enormous 38 on the Tote versus a 26 pound SP dividend. So basically, you got an extra 50% almost by betting with the Tote versus betting with the bookies. And she won that off a mark of 99. She comes here a £1 higher off a mark of 100. A return to better ground will see her to good effect. And yeah, I don't see why she won't go very close again. This would have been the plan all along.
Villanova Queen, top weight, 25-1, best price as it stands. Finally, before we let you guys go, the Windsor Castle is the final race on the card on Wednesday at 6:15. Treasure Isle and Shadow Army are the 5-1 joint favourites. Celtic Chieftain 6-1. Pont Neuf is 12-1. Gabaldon 14-1. 16-1. Honorary American 18-1. Bar those. Andy, speed figures wise, how does this stack up compared to your sheets?
Nothing absolutely standouting here. A lot of them have all got similar time numbers, like 71, 72, 73s. They haven't got the ones that have done over 75, like we have in one or two other races. So a lot of this is going to boil down to which one out of those ones that have run realistically good time figures in, strongly enough run races improves the most. The most eye-catching, without shadow of a doubt for me, of any 2-year-old in this race is Shadow Army. I think he's an absolute monster. The day when he ran at York, he missed the break, which is unlike one of Richard Farley's. They normally know their job. And he found himself in what looked an uncompromising position at halfway, so much so that he had to make up at least 5 or 6 lengths on horses with previous experience, including the winner, the second, Francesco's Piece from the Adrian Keatley stable. Now, that horse has gone on to the continent subsequently to win a pattern race. So he was running down a horse who's already proven the form to be spectacularly good. So to do that on his debut, was something quite extraordinary. Now you look at the sectionals as well. He did from 3 out to the line compared to the Duke of York on the same card, the older horse race won by Millstream, was it? Shadow Army did 34-3 against 35-3 Millstream. So basically, he's run the last 3 furlongs off the back of a sound gallop, 5 lengths quicker than a Group 1 older horse rated at 120. Oh, he's a fair tool, this. I actually thought if he runs in the Norfolk, and I think that's the race he should be in, I think he's too good to be running in a listed race. So I'm setting myself up for a fall here, but I think he's a Group 1 sprinter in the making. If he doesn't win the Windsor Castle, I think his connections will be absolutely mortified, me included. I just think he's better than this lot. So the only thing I won't know is the draw and whether he's got the pace to carry him into the race from stall 6. That wouldn't necessarily be ideal. I think if you had to cherry pick a draw, you'd probably say somewhere in the middle, somewhere towards the near side. But the pace map will become clear at the time once you know who's going to make the running, where the American horses are, etc., etc. So it might not be the end of the world. But if any horse can overcome a draw, it'll be this fella. So he's a special talent, this Shadow Army. So whatever happens to him in the Windsor Castle, he deserves to be kept on the right side.
5-1 feels like a big price. Having heard that, a couple of firms going 9-2 as well. So that 5-1 may not stick around for too long. Shadow Army, the strong selection there for Andy in the final race on Wednesday. Jamie, how do you follow that?
You follow that by following him in. Shadow Army just for me is the standout on form. Those time figures give me even more confidence. That's fantastic news. And ultimately, I think being drawn 6 won't be a bad thing here because you're near the honorary American Wesley Ward thing, which will go like a bullet from a gun. So I think everything sets up perfectly for him. I suspect the only reason he's here is because Wat Nan are just looking to get as many winners on the board as possible. Mm-hmm. And so they don't really mind if it's a listed or a Group 2. It's just a winner or Royal Ascot for them. So, that is probably the softer option. I agree. He'd be better off in the Norfolk, but, the day I own a horse.
That's fine when it's 5-1. If you're talking about a horse that's 6-4, 7-4, then it's a bit frustrating. But you're getting a fair price, aren't you?
Exactly. And ultimately, 5-1 could look very silly come the end of this. But I don't really know where else to look in terms of value because I think you're playing for second. The one that slightly caught my eye at a big price was actually going to be Wat Nan's other runner in the race, Artagnan, who was beaten on debut very resoundingly by Loom. But there's no reason to suspect that he'll be good enough to improve to the point of winning this. But the 33s, I thought that was a fair run at Ripon, and he will be under bet because he'll be the perceived Wat Nan second string. Well, will be the second string, obviously, actually, with James on the on the winner. Artagnan, maybe a Wat Nan 1-2, with Artagnan filling the second place.
Artagnan 33-1, best price.
I think the other reason as well why perhaps Wat Nan have looked at this pragmatically and thought, well, if we go for the Norfolk, we've got to take on Whistle Jacket.
Yeah.
Whistle Jacket is a top class horse in his own right. They played the safety numbers card here and thought, well, we're taking on a 6-4 favourite trained by Aidan O'Brien, whereas we're looking at the Windsor Castle, which is very much the weaker level of the 2-year-old races throughout the course of the week, and thought, well, we're better off going here, which is exactly what Little Big Bear did in this race 2 years ago when he beat Rocket Rodney. When we were looking at Rocket Rodney, me and George Scott, we thought we've got a great chance in, and then when they chucked in Little Big Bear, ended up being a Group 1 horse. So I think Shadow Army's in that kind of bracket as Little Big Bear.
There you go. Shadow Army in the same bracket as Little Big Bear. Good way to finish the show. Thank you very much to Jamie. Thank you very much to Andy for sharing their tips, thoughts, and insight ahead of the day 2 at the Royal Ascot preview. Make sure you check out the Tote, where you've got plenty of offers on there. You've got the tournament where you can beat Jamie and therefore win your share of $5,000. And of course the England offer there as well. England's next game is 5:00 on Thursday. So options there to hopefully get some place, a £1 place point if England score a goal for every goal they score as well. Fingers crossed, we do score against Denmark.
And we will. It'll be a goal fest, lads. You'll be playing post pots for free for the rest of the week.
Perfect. There we go. Enjoy the racing. Make sure you download the oddschecker app where you can get Andy's tips every evening before the racing during Royal Ascot and every morning of racing elsewhere. Enjoy the first few days of Ascot. We'll speak again soon. Please do ensure that you're gambling responsibly.